The note was taped to my suitcase, fluttering in the backyard wind like it belonged there. You are not needed here. My sister's handwriting. Sharp. Familiar. Cruel. I stood by the gate in my work heels, suitcase beside me. Another on the patchy lawn. No one came out. No one texted. After a 14-hour flight and 2 months overseas, this was the welcome I got from my own blood. The living room lights were on. Laughter spilled faintly through the curtains. I didn't knock. I didn't shout. I just stood there. Until something in me flipped. I lifted my bags, turned around, and walked to the car. I'd never told anyone about the one-bedroom apartment I kept on the edge of town, the one I paid for in cash under a different name. That night, I drove there. I unpacked in silence. And I went still. No calls. No posts. No explanations. Just vanished. They thought they'd gotten rid of me. What they didn't know was that I'd already pulled away long before they kicked me out. And now I was going to show them who they discarded. Without a word. Without a sound. Just consequence. The apartment was cold and undecorated, but it was mine. I hadn't been here in almost a year. Not since I started funding my parents' home improvements, paying off my sister's debt, and helping cover the mortgage they swore was temporary. They'd begged then. Cried even. Told me I was the stable one. Now, they couldn't even send a text. I sat at the small kitchen table, staring at my phone. No missed calls.
No, sorry.
No, come back. And that told me everything I needed to know. That night, I opened the file I kept hidden on my personal drive, labeled for later. Inside were copies of every financial transaction I'd made for them over the past 6 years. Bank transfers, loan statements, receipts. I'd never deleted a single one. I'd funded everything quietly. I pulled out the burner phone I used when I traveled for work. No one in my family had the number. And I made a call. Hey, Darren?
Yeah.
I'm ready. Tell your people the answer is yes. Silence, then a laugh on the other end. Took you long enough, Camille. I didn't laugh. Because I already knew how this ended. Darren picked me up in a matte black SUV 2 mornings later. He didn't ask about the bags I brought. Just nodded, handed me coffee, and said, "Your lawyer's waiting downtown." We drove in silence, the city rolling by in slow motion. I kept thinking of the note my sister left on my suitcase. The handwriting. The arrogance. They thought I had nowhere else to go. They had no idea I'd been working for a private development firm for over 2 years, quietly acquiring distressed properties in our county. I'd hidden my ownership behind shell companies. Paper trails that looped back into LLCs with names even my accountant couldn't guess were mine. But this next move, it was personal. Your parents' house, Darren said, glancing at me. The land they refinanced last spring. That's parcel 14B, right? I nodded. With an overdue balloon payment. He handed me a document. We just bought the debt. I took the paper. Read it slowly. Then smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. My family taught me everything, I said softly. How to lie.
How to take.
How to vanish. I folded the paper and whispered, "Now I'll teach them something." I didn't show up. Not for birthdays. Not for holidays. I became a ghost in their world. Invisible, but always watching. My sister posted selfies from my old bedroom like she owned it. My mother complained online about her ungrateful daughter who had gone off the rails. My father never mentioned me again. Silence, as if I'd died. But I hadn't. I was reborn in quiet strategy. While they decorated my childhood home for spring brunches and posted faux influencer reels, I met with land surveyors, code enforcement, and a few very discreet inspectors. The soil tests came back, showing structural risk. The insurance company, after a quiet nudge, reevaluated the coverage. The bank began calling my dad weekly. He laughed it off. Just paperwork. He didn't know I was sitting 2 floors up in the same building. Watching. Then one morning, a notice was taped to their front gate. Final warning. Payment demand, 14 days. That afternoon, my sister posted a story saying, "People are so fake. Family is useless." She had no idea. I didn't reply. But I scheduled something for the next week, 10 a.m. sharp. They'd all be home, and I would knock. At exactly 10 a.m., the knock came, but it wasn't from me. It was from the city marshal. My parents, still in pajamas, opened the door to find 2 officers, an inspector, and a lawyer holding a bright orange envelope. My mother screamed when they handed her the notice. My father tried to argue, waving his hands, voice rising, but it didn't matter. Their property had been flagged for public safety violations. The insurance had lapsed, and due to a missed payment, one I knew they'd overlook, the bank had initiated a repossession. In 30 minutes, they were escorted off the premises. My sister stood on the lawn barefoot, holding her phone, shaking. Who did this? Who did this? That's when I arrived.
Calm.
In a tailored navy dress, holding an iced coffee.
She froze when she saw me.
My father looked like he'd seen a ghost. Camille? I nodded politely. It's nothing personal, just business. The lawyer beside me added, the new owner has the right to immediate inspection. I stepped inside my childhood home, the one they sold to themselves with my money. And this time, I didn't need permission. The house was a mess. Stained carpets, chipped paint, unpaid utility notices stacked on the kitchen counter. My parents had let it rot because they thought it would always be theirs. Untouchable.
Safe.
I walked through the rooms like a guest, but every corner whispered memories. My childhood bedroom still had my old bookshelf, now covered in dust and someone else's makeup stains. My sister trailed behind me like a shadow, trying to talk. You can't just take this. You think this makes you better? I turned slowly. You made it easy. In the dining room, I laid the file on the table, the one with every receipt, contract, and forged document they'd once used to erase me from the company they built with my money. The irony? They'd used my investment to buy the home under a shell corporation which I now controlled. That shell company now bore one name, mine. They hadn't read the fine print. They never thought I'd learn corporate law. They never imagined the invisible daughter would come back with power. And still, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult them. I didn't throw anything. I just stood, calm, composed, and said, "You raised me to be ruthless." I just listened. By morning, the locks had changed. I paid for a private team to clear the house, quietly, legally. The eviction notice had already been served overnight via their own attorney. They just hadn't checked their email. When Dad banged on my office door downtown, red-faced and trembling, I didn't flinch. He brought the same tone he used when I was 16, the tone that once made me shrink. Not this time. "You're destroying this family." I tilted my head. I thought I was never part of it. Mom stood behind him, her expression a mixture of disbelief and wounded pride. She whispered, "You're doing this to your own blood?" I reached into my bag and pulled out the same document she signed 10 years ago, the one removing me from their lives legally. I had framed it. "You called me an outsider." I just stopped pretending. I didn't let them in. I didn't argue. I walked back to my desk and resumed reviewing the final papers to liquidate the remaining company assets, the last piece of their empire. They thought betrayal was a one-time sting. But real consequences? Those unfold slowly. The house was quiet now. No shouting. No guilt-ridden dinners. Just the soft hum of my air purifier and the occasional rustle of the trees outside my new window. I didn't take their empire to be cruel. I took it because it was mine. Built on my silence, my labor, my childhood innocence. On my willingness to shrink so they could expand. On my $60,000 that became their ladder, and their arrogance. The papers were finalized today. Their company was sold. Every client transitioned. Their accounts drained legally, ethically, documented to the last penny. I hired them a lawyer to ensure it was clean. That was the final kindness they'll ever get from me. They now live in a small apartment. I live in the city. Peaceful, protected, and private. My therapist asked me what justice felt like. I didn't answer. Instead, I smiled for the first time in years. Not because I won, but because I'm free. Because I remembered that when they said, "You don't belong here," they accidentally gave me permission to build something of my own. And this time, no one's name is on it but mine.